All right. Oh, what were your thoughts on this? On the father of the Santa Fe shooter? Which rest in peace to those folks, man. This school
You know,
shooting stuff is out of control.
you know what I will say. So one thing, the article is basically he never really straight up says that. The dad doesn't say like, oh, he was bullied all the time. I read the article. I actually
Yeah.
kind of think this headline's a little bit of a reach, but he did kind of say he basically said like he thought did something did happen to his son recently. He was acting strange and all this stuff. He didn't usually used to do it.
Oh, what I heard, what my wife told me was, and I haven't read anything to check out the credibility of this, but she was saying that a girl he really liked, I guess maybe he finally went for her. Or maybe he didn't go for her. I think she was explaining that like he really liked her and he started acting kind of weird towards her, and finally, and he was kind of stalking her a little bit, like he was following her around. He was like just kind of creeping on her, and eventually she embarrassed him in front of a bunch of people. Like I don't know what she said, but I'm guessing it wasn't nice because she was just so tired of him stalking her and following her around and stuff. And then that's what he did the next day. She was one of the students that was murdered by him
I w-
because she yeah,
well, because I will say, yeah, he did say some shit like he only killed the mean ones or some shit like that,
yeah.
and no one deserves this to happen to their kids or anything like that. I will say this about the kind of idea of bullying. I remember when I was in a high school seeing a kid that got bullied a lot, and they were saying shit like that to him, like he's gonna be a school shooter and shit like that, while they were bullying him. And I just that didn't feel right because I'm like, you're kind of trying to make him into one, and
Right.
if he
You're
did
putting the
do
idea
that,
in his head to shoot you. Yeah.
right, and it's just like I will say this, man, all these guys that do this shit is they got to be some really tortured people. You know what I mean? Like, not that I'm not justifying it in any fucking sense. Like, but like people say, like we need to teach them not to do it. I think they know it's wrong. You know what I mean? That's why they did it. You know what
Well,
I mean?
I think I think a lot of it. I think when you're young, one thing I realized because I'm getting older, I'll be 32 in June. One thing I'm realizing is that like going from ages 15, I would say maybe 13 to 29 is a lot of mental stress. And like I don't have the same stress as I used to have anymore. I'm married, I got a family. I mean, there's a lot of things. I know my role in society, I know my role, I know my place in this world. I'm not confused. But when you're a child, like you don't know where you fit in and you don't and you have so many complex hormones that are racing through you. You don't you sometimes you feel absolute rage. And I think the worst thing that can happen is we have a lot of shitty adults in the world and they take their shitty ideas and their shitty values and they hand them right down to their kids and their kids don't know how to treat people nicely even if they think oh that kid smells funny or oh that kid whatever
Right.
because they're taught such horrible things. I remember when I was growing up I was in middle school and it was a kid that didn't dress great because they didn't have money, so it was a lot of hand me down goodwill type stuff, and didn't shower very much, and I think their culture didn't allow for that as often, and so I try to be cool as I could with the person, like to just because everybody has to have somebody or they do stuff like this,
Right.
so. Yeah, man, it's just we got to be better people, man. That's what this tells me because I don't think like I don't think most kids are inherently evil. I just think
No.
that they can't find an escape and they don't know what to do. And sometimes that pain hurts so bad, you just
I think like you see, I've read a couple of like there's so many of these. I remember a couple of these guys write like manifestos and all these crazy things.
yeah,
And if you read them, man, they'll make your hair stand up because I think an interesting thing to think about this stuff is I think with these things they're so evil, they're so crazy, and I don't think people realize like how many times. My friend was talking recently. I think this kind of man, we've been on this stuff kind of heavy. He was talking about Abraham Lincoln, and he was saying this thing about how oh well Abraham Lincoln said this thing, and he did say this. I'm sure you know about this. Where he said if he could reunite the Union without freeing a single slave, he would.
yeah,
And he 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 said that, but like there's all these letters that he has written to his wife that were in his stuff, and a lot of people actually don't know this too. Abraham Lincoln was like I think like a 16th. I don't remember if it was black or Indian, but he was one of those, and they used that was actually a big thing that they used when they campaigned against him. But anyways, that Lincoln was actually super against slavery. People always say, oh, it was a different time. No, a lot of people were actually really against it. He just knew he couldn't run on that. And for people that are like, that sounds like bullshit, they killed him because he was a big part of ending slavery. They shot his ass. Like he was fucking hated for it. Like it was a pretty so.
Bro, where we going with this?
Oh fuck. We were talking about what did you just say about the school shooter? Because it had to do with uh fuck man, I got all fucked up. No, what I was saying about the school shooters though, they write these oh yeah, I know what I was gonna say. I know where I was going with this. Big, crazy, evil things have happened that everybody is taking part in. People who say, I would never do something like that. Well, the numbers say you probably would have. The numbers say you probably wouldn't have hit Anne Frank because only 3 people fucking did. And a lot of those people got shot in the fucking face. You know what I mean? So, like, people were like, I would have fought against slavery. Like, when Kanye was saying that shit, it's like, I don't know if you would, man. Like, the numbers, you're a pretty different individual. And so, with this, I think, like, the capacity for this kind of evil exists in everybody.
Right. Yeah.
I
think you have to be driven to it. I think it takes some people a lot less. And I think when you're talking about kids, I think they do it more often because they're more emotionally unstable anyway. You know, it really boils down to mental health and environment and instability in children this age. Because my thing is like, I mean, I don't know how you feel about guns. I was raised in a non-gun household, and even to this day, I'm not super comfortable with guns. Now, you know, we don't have any firearms. We've talked about. I'm just giving shit away so people can come rob me. We don't have any firearms, and we've talked about getting one and doing some training and things like that. But a lot of people have guns in their homes and they don't train their kids on them, and they leave them way too accessible. How does this dude get a shotgun and a pistol? How does that happen?
Right.
How does that happen?
It should not be accessible. Because what I'd be thinking more about, statistically, what's actually more likely is your kid's going to use your gun to kill himself.
Yeah.
Like not that this stuff doesn't matter, but I don't know. I don't want to just blame this on his parents. I don't know exactly whose and what's and how everything in his life happened.
Where do you fall on the gun control? Not that I care.
I got guns.
Yeah.
I got guns. But how I feel on gun control is different. My view on it is this. I'm not about to tell you like, oh, I'm from the street or nothing, but like I've had guns around me, and I haven't had a gun to my head, but I've been people threatened me with guns and shit like that before in my life, and so I got one. I
think it's smart. I think it's actually smart to have one. I think, like I said, for me, I was also taught at a young age that guns were such a dangerous thing. You know. We were kind of almost raised to be scared of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that skewed my view anyway. But yeah, that's a major reason we don't have one too, is because I would never forgive myself in a million years if something like that happened to them or something like that happened to some of their friends, and my kids aren't the type I don't think would be to do that. But then again, I'm sure his dad didn't think his kid would do that. So
right. No one thinks their kid's going to do that, I'd like to think.
Yeah, it's just I mean, I think the school shooting thing, man, they have to do more. I think, especially the response from the president on this stuff, man. We can't have kids going to school afraid they're gonna get killed, man. I never felt that. I mean, my school wasn't like super super hard. I mean, it was some people got some shootings, things happened, but it wasn't like I had to fear for my safety. But I just feel like I couldn't imagine living like that, thinking, man, if I go to third, or if the fire alarm gets pulled, I might get shot. Because that's what these kids are doing. They pull the fire alarms, and then the kids run out in the hallway and they shoot them. You know what I mean? So I couldn't imagine thinking like that. Like, oh, is it fire alarm or somebody out there with a pistol?
Yeah, I can't even like, and I think even going more in race with this, I think it's people don't want to talk about this, but it's like they're all young white men. You know what I mean? And people want to make all these excuses like, or there's the SB 1070 about here where they said legally you can pull someone over for looking like they could be like. I don't see if we're gonna. I don't necessarily agree with this either. But if we're gonna keep moving laws in that logic, why aren't we like making sure all the white men are fucking sane? Like in school, the young white men that are statistically more likely to do this shit. And I'm not saying necessarily to do that.
You know what's funny? That's exactly what that comedian was complaining about. He was saying that because a lot of these shootings are white males, he's like, now if you're a straight white male, it's becoming this negative stigma. So it is funny you said that because I'm thinking in my head, but it is a lot of white males that are doing this. Like, you don't have to make it like a all white males do that, because I don't feel that way. But if it's what's happening, if it's documented that these are the folks that are carrying these things out, I mean, we can't just ignore that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's like they're obviously at a higher risk for it. I mean, and I just think like that's not fucking true. Like that it's harder being like I don't know. Like I know that for me, it gets even better as you get older. Because before it was just like I didn't get. It was harder for me to get in trouble. But now it's like, bro, wherever you go as a white dude is like if you can just like carry yourself not retarded. Like you know what I mean. Like people will just think like, oh, there's a competent man right there. Like you know what I mean. Like he probably isn't doing anything bad. And it's like I'm slacking and barely doing shit at work sometimes. And like as long as like I can come correct, like it'll be all right.
Yeah. Well, but see, you understand your position though. I mean, you aren't the average, white dude either. I mean, as far as like your understanding of other races and of the broader situation. I mean, I think you've
Right.
had enough experience in your life where you get it. And to your point earlier, a lot of people, both black and white and Mexican, some people stay in their little bubbles and they don't
Oh
like
yeah, everybody.
yeah, they don't get out. I mean, it's fine to stay in your bubble, but you got to go visit other people and understand other situations as well.
You learn more, it makes you a better person.
When I think a lot of this type of stuff occurs because we don't have enough of that in our communities where people are comfortable being friends with each other and talking to each other and not having to be so, oh, don't talk to me because you're this and that. Like, just have conversations with people. So I don't
Real
know what the
shit.
answer is, brother, but this shit makes me sad.
Yeah, that's all I know. It's because I don't think it's as easy. And we'll just be the last thing I say, but I don't think I will say this about the gun thing. I go back and forth on it. It's one of the only things where I'm not like super left on, to be honest.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, I know that if guns are legal where I'm at, I'm probably gonna have one. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that. But I don't think it's as easy as just like how do you just take all the guns away? I mean that just doesn't make sense, right? I'll be
I agree with
realistic,
that.
you know.
I agree with that. I mean, I think that you can't like people deserve the right to protect themselves. I mean, they do. That's like
Well,
that's a fair thing,
and
you
also
know.
just statistically, I would also just say like how are you gonna even do that? How would you
Right.
enforce it? How are you gonna like that? Doesn't even like I just don't think it
Well,
would
the way
work.
you do it is you had to make a penalty of like 50 years in jail if you have a gun. I guarantee you that'll get guns. That'll clean it up. You know what I mean? Like if you put a penalty that's like you literally could go to jail for half your life, I think people would. But that's not the answer. You know what I mean? Like that.
I think that's one of the few things where I hate when people get like I hate when people talk about like what if California secedes or some shit like that would never
Right,
happen. But
right,
if
right.
on some I don't if some crazy shit were to happen, that would be one of the ways I could think like some people I think a lot of people actually would fight that in a weird
Yeah,
way. You know what I mean? It
yeah.
could be really crazy and I think they know that.
Yeah, it would be martial law because some people have armories in their house.
Bro, and a lot of those like fucking crazy white dudes in like the
The South,
Midwest. Yeah, and in the South
especially,
that live in like
yeah,
rural areas, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like where
they
you're gonna
got
have like
armies.
real shit and
They
they would
got
fight, I think.
armies.
They're crazy.